Day 3 of coverage here from Atlanta for the college football playoff. I'm Lauren Sisler. This is ESPN's Marty Smith. And Marty, you've gotten a chance to follow Jalen Hurts throughout the season. Of course, it's a rare opportunity that we get to talk to the freshmen. Nick Saban doesn't let his freshmen talk until, of course, the postseason. Today being day 2 of talking to Jalen. What do you see in this young man? He's up there, he's poised, he's mature, but he's very down to earth and grounded.
It's remarkable. We've heard so much and how enamored the nation is with his poise, being the first freshman that's ever started for Coach Saban. And I was already interested in that, and then I went down to Houston earlier this week and spent some time with his father, Averion, who was his high school coach, to try to get an idea of where this poise came from and why he's wired that way. And even his own father said to me, he's just a different cat. And he told me this great story about when Jalen was first elevated to varsity as a sophomore at Channelview High School, that Coach Hurts was wearing him out. He was all over him, just really to set a tone to both the Jalen and the team. Look, there ain't gonna be any favoritism here, all right? You might be my son, but you're a player. And he was all over him, and Jalen's facial expression never changed. He just sat there and stared at him. And after about the third day, it was starting to tick Coach Hurts off, because he's like, does this kid have a pulse? What's going on? He was consuming what Coach was saying. And then Coach Hurts told me he went back after practice and watched tape and realized he was in fact incorrect, that Jalen was right in what he was doing. And so after 3 consecutive days of apologizing, he was never on Jalen anymore. So he's always kind of had that demeanor, and it's perfectly suited for a Nick Saban team. You know, you heard Jalen say after the SEC championship, yeah, I'll remember Coach Saban's rear end chewings, but it's nothing like blood.
Nothing like blood. And of course, speaking on the story, we heard Jalen tell earlier about riding home from practice with his father in Big Red, I guess a Big Red truck that he drove home in. But he said as soon as that garage door shuts, it's over. No more football talk. Right.
I mean, and in speaking both to Jalen and to Averion about those rides and what they meant and what they were life lessons, and they were ball. And once they parked that thing in the garage, the ball stayed in the truck. I mean, those were Coach's words. They stayed in the truck, and then he became dad. But those are obviously very special in molding this 18-year-old. And don't forget, he's barely 18. He just turned 18 in August. He can still be in high school. Mm-hmm. I can't get over the fact that he's this mature, this young. I mean, I was an idiot at 18. Most of us were.
No way.
And
at Dallas High School,
right? Yes, that's right, Virginia.
We went to high school together.
I know you guys would like to see that. I know you'd like to see where we were reared. But it really is remarkable. And the ability to, when you talk to his teammates too, they all mention his composure and his poise. And it's funny, I was talking to O.J. Howard about kind of when did you know? And almost the second Jalen got on campus last January, they threw him in on the scout team to be Deshaun Watson as the Tide prepared to play Clemson in last year's national championship. And he balled. And they all were like, whoa, all right, this guy's the real deal. And then they get into camp towards the fall, and he's 4th or 5th or whatever on the depth chart. And normally in a position like that, you're probably going to be much more reserved from a vocal leadership perspective. And we've seen that he's not vocal.
No.
But his teammates said he was barking. That we gotta do this. We gotta work harder. We gotta be better. And that's when guys like Dalvin Tomlinson and Damian Harris all went, okay, this is a different breed.
Yeah, chimed in on that. Of course, we're seeing a little more personality as he's getting a little more FaceTime with the media. Now, there's some speculation about Jalen Hurts and his ability to throw the football. He's obviously a mobile quarterback, dual threat quarterback that can move the ball on his feet. And, they've opened the playbook up a lot this year, some different schemes, some different looks from Lane Kiffin. Do you think that's a weakness of his? Is this something he's developing? What is your take on that?
It's his first year in college football. There's not a whole lot of, so you look at Sam Darnold at USC. He's a very talented thrower, right? He can pass the football. Deshaun Watson can pass the football. But if you look throughout college football, there's a few guys that stand out. He's 18, and he's a tremendous runner. Hugh Freeze isn't dumb. When Hugh Freeze says, I think they can be beaten based on pass, or they can be beaten because I don't know if he can beat you passing, he knows what he's talking about.
Right.
And so I take stock in that. But I also know that he's a winner. He hasn't lost yet. I mean, he has tremendous talent around him. And, you think about what Lane Kiffin's done. He has taken, from Blake Sims to Jake Coker, to now Jalen, those are all very different types of players, and he tailors the offense around those talents, and he's done a great job of that with Jalen, as we've seen. I mean, who was the last true freshman to win SEC Offensive Player of the Year? Herschel Walker in 1980.
Woo!
Been a while.
Before I was born. Before you were born?
No, not
we
before
won't go
I
there,
was
right?
born.
We won't go there. When you look at this Alabama football team, unscathed, going undefeated all season, and comparing them to other national championship Alabama football teams, what do you see in this team? What makes this team different?
I see a dominant group and a very self-motivated group. And it's funny, I was talking to Jonathan Allen last week. I went down to Tuscaloosa and had a lot of time with the team. And I asked him about, how do you guys stay so hungry when you're always the team with the target on your back, when you win, when you're successful? He's Defensive Player of the Year in the SEC. They got 100,000 All-Americans on the roster. He said, anybody that was on our team in 2014 when we lost to Ohio State, they don't need any more motivation than that. So they've taken on that Saban thing of we don't care about, we don't forget the wins. We obsess about losses. Nick Saban obsesses about losses. When I was at his lake house in the summer, I was discussing that with him. You've won 4 of the last 7 national championships. And he's like, well, what I think about is the ones I didn't win. And he starts going into detail about each one of those seasons. And I'm like, man, it's just amazing that you will not rest on your laurels, that you will not be content, that you will not let yourself get complacent, which is another thing I asked him. What is the greatest threat to excellence? Complacency. Because he says complacency creates a blatant disregard for doing what's right. I'm telling you, Nick Saban's brilliance is not X's and O's, it's psychology.
It's all about the process. It sounds like you may have that quote written on your wall somewhere.
I should.
When you walk out of your house every morning.
I should. We should get it in lights up here.
That'd be pretty cool. Thank you so much, Marty, for your time. I appreciate it. He's Marty Smith with ESPN. I'm Lauren Sisler. Thank you so much for watching, and for all your Alabama Crimson Tide updates, you can visit us on AL.com.